I wasn't expecting this, but I stopped over by to go see Jojo Rabbit finally. This is a film that's been getting quite a lot of press over the past few weeks, or even, since the first trailer came out, because it's shown, of all things, a young boy befriending Adolf Hitler in his imagination and becoming a hardcore Nazi fanatic who says very aggressive and offensive things about Jews until, this is the catch, he sees a refugee that just so happens to be Jewish escaping Holocaust in his house, hiding near where his mother lives in her bedroom. And it frightens him so much, so bad, that over time he starts to come out of his shell of his anti-Semitism and his Nazi propaganda mind to becoming a bit more sympathetic. Depending on what your views are on about Jews, and if you're Israel-Palestine, you are either going to love this film or you're going to hate it. Or for that matter, people who find that the film's humour, which takes various wild directions and also seems to make fun of Holocaust and Nazism, very offensive. This is a very challenging film at that, but it's not really that more different than the German film that came out a few years ago that was released surprisingly on Netflix, called ist wieder da, otherwise known as Look Who's Back. Like Human Centipede, it is not a film I will talk about, but I do know someone that has seen that particular film on streaming and thought, this is brilliant. This is one of the best satires I've seen since Blazing Saddles or The Producers. Speaking of producers, you know about Springtime for Hitler. It's essentially, this film, Jojo Rabbit, is essentially that, but with a child. A more sort of random way, excuse me. My mouth's a little bit dry. But yes, it's essentially that film, but with for a child's perspective, and it's awfully clever. It takes you places that it wouldn't necessarily go in a mainstream film. It's quite dark and gritty at places. There is even one scene that so unpleasant that you're almost wondering yourself, how on earth Disney helped finance this? In fact, the whole movie itself should be that very one question. How on earth would Disney even finance a movie like this? Because I know Fox Searchlight and 20th Century Fox are owned by Mickey with the blue ears! Now, that is surprising to see a film with this much anti-Semitic language and this sort of controversial humour even get distributed by that label, or for that matter, even get a release anyways, without having to fear of backlash. Because you already know about Joker and how much backlash that film got. And how much hell that caused for some of the cinemas, to the point they had to hire extra private security guards and police to try to intervene on screenings simply because things were going to get out of hand. Do you think the same thing might happen with Jojo Rabbit? Probably. We hope to tell. I saw it in a big city, thankfully, so it was limited release. People should know better. If you're already coming in expecting to sort of laugh at the offensive and rude nature, you could be walking in some tight territory, my friend. Approach this as you would Borat. Now, that was a movie of that Chris Morris film, 4 Lines. Approach it that way. Don't laugh too hard, or otherwise they might think you're a bit mental in the head. Just tread lightly. And don't, assume for a second, because I know I said Human Centipede, this is an extremely violent pornographic film. It's not. It's a 12A. It's a PG-13 film. But its humour and controversial elements could definitely even make people with children even uncomfortable, to the point that the rating that it has received becomes almost moot or insignificant. Because of the shock value that's at stake here. I think Taika Waititi has made an interesting film, but I will say at the same time it is not a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination. It's not going to be Saving Private Ryan or Persepolis, about wartime strife, that sort of thing. Walter Bashir, Full Metal Jacket. This is more better than, Life is Beautiful, and better than Inglourious Basterds, but not quite there in terms of films that deal with wartime, or in films that deal with the Second World War and Nazi Germany. You know about Der Untergang, downfall, right? And also, because the marketing made it seem like, oh, it's just, watching a kid talk to Hitler in his head and they're joking around, but it's actually a bit more deeper than that. I think some of the marketing could have been changed a little bit there, but if they just made it about, he finds a girl in his closet, because it sounds kind of Anne Frankish, which I've actually been to the actual museum when I was growing up as a little boy in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. You probably wouldn't have said, they would just would have thought, oh, this is boring propaganda, Hollywood is all run by Jews. Shut up! So if you're daring enough to go to the cinema again, because you were worried that you were going to get shot by watching Joker, or, Straight Outta Compton, Django Unchained, The Interview, take a chill pill, breathe, and go see Jojo Rabbit and see what all the fuss is about. I think you'll do yourself a favor. It's probably, one more intriguing films of the year. It's also Taika Waititi's best work, outside of Boy and Eagle vs. Shark, and better than Thor Ragnarok. Boring. This is Skinny Ebert signing off. Until next time, keep on traveling, yeah?